Hey guys, and welcome back to the show. I am your host, Megan Hardy, and I am the founder of Fitness Uncharted, which is my fitness and nutrition coaching company that I designed to help women build muscle, lose fat, and improve your metabolism so that you can feel healthy and confident in your 30s, 40s, 50s, and beyond. And today we're going to be talking about quote unquote good food versus quote unquote bad food and the whole dieting mindset. And this topic actually came as a request from a listener. You'll know who you are when you listen to this. And she was just asking, she was like, "Hey, can you help me out and make an episode on how to help people change their mindset from good food versus bad food and the whole like dieting mindset?" And she comes from a family who really has that dieting mindset ingrained in them, kind of that diet culture mindset, and experiences a lot of like guilt around food. So, and that's really the case for a lot of women that I talk with and a lot of people I talk with, a lot of my current clients. They came from that past of really just that diet mindset. And especially if you're a millennial or older, it's like we grew up in skinny era, right, where it was all about diets. It was all about being super skinny. Like, I don't really know how a millennial or older does not have a dieting mindset. In a way, we have to break that. So that's what we're going to talk about today. And before we dive in, I'm going to share some just tips with you guys on how to help kind of break some of that mindset and some of those stigmas around food. But first, I just wanted to give you guys an example as well of another reason we should not rate or score ourselves on our fitness journeys. So I actually just went golfing with my husband for his birthday, and it was my first time golfing. Like, I've played putt putt before, and I suck at putt putt. Okay, so like for me, golfing, there's not really much allure to go golfing because I'm like, I am not even good at putt putt. Like, I can hardly connect with the ball, much less aim it, get it in the hole, like all of that. I'm not good at it, so I don't really enjoy it, right? So it was his birthday though. I was like, "Hey, we'll go golfing together." I was just gonna ride the cart, and just be the cart girl, just ride around and enjoy my Starbucks on the cart. But I was like, "You know what? Let me actually just like shoot a couple holes and try this." And it was actually a pretty dreary, rainy day. So we were able to do that. Like, I wasn't playing every hole. I just was able to like shoot some shots. And actually came to find that it was really fun. Like, I got a couple good hits in there, which probably helped. But I will say I had way more misses than hits. Like, I had way more, way more bad shots, way more completely missed shots and missed swings, like literally where my what's it called? I can't even think of what it's called. The golf thing that you hit it with, the club, whatever. That it didn't even connect to the ball. Like, I just swung and missed, right? Like, I had plenty of those, but then I had those couple of shots that I was like, dang, okay, pat myself on the back. That was pretty good. But I was thinking to myself, I was like, I'm not even going to try to score myself on this round of golf, because I will feel so defeated if I do that. Like, I will feel so irritated. I won't want to keep going. I'll just be like, "You suck. I'm not going to play this game." Right. But instead of doing that, so I'm going to close the door because Oreo's barking at me. Hold on. Sorry, Oreo's going crazy. So we're just going to keep going though. So I would have given up if I had rated myself or scored myself, right? And I was thinking to myself, how much is that like our fitness journeys? How much is that like, people on their fitness or dieting journey, whether your goal is weight loss or fat loss or building muscle or body recomposition? How often are we trying to score ourselves and looking at our journey as good or bad? We're like, I did good today. I did bad today. I've been good. I've been bad. Right. And that is no way to stay motivated or encouraged to keep going. Like, we all wonder why we can't stay consistent and why we fall off the wagon and why we have no quote unquote motivation. And if you've been around the block with me or listened to a couple episodes, then you know how I feel about motivation. You can't rely on it. You have to take action first, and then the motivation will follow the action. But if we want to stay quote unquote motivated, then we need to not score ourselves. Stop scoring or rating yourself and labeling yourself as good versus bad. Like if I was doing that and scoring myself and rating myself with golf, it would have taken all of the fun out of it for me and I would have given up. Instead, I was like, you know what? I'm just going to focus on getting better. Like I'm just going to focus on improving my swing. I'm going to just focus on using enough power to actually hit the ball any kind of distance. I am actually just going to try to connect with the ball. Like I'm just going to try to, hit the ball versus taking a chunk of dirt out of the ground, because plenty of that happened too that day. Like I tore up their turf. Like I hit the ball and hit the ground and the dirt as much as I hit the ball. Right. But I was like, you know what? I'm just going to focus on trying to connect with the ball better. I'm going to try to have more hits than misses. And I have no idea what my golf score was, but I don't care. And I did get better by the end of that day. I was like, okay, I might want to do this again because I was like, I actually got a little better by just continuing and practice, 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 practice. You know what they say, practice makes perfect. And I don't know that that will ever be the case for me in golf or not. I don't think that's ever the case on our fitness journeys. I don't think we'll ever be perfect. Even to this day, me, Megan, the health and fitness coach, is not perfect on my fitness journey, but practicing over time and practicing a lot, I have gotten better. So that should be the goal, is better, not perfect. And we don't need to rate or score ourselves. We do not need to label ourselves as good or bad. And how often are we doing that on our fitness journeys? Like examples, I failed my diet. That's another diet I failed. Gosh, I suck at being consistent. I'm terrible at meal prepping. I look like an idiot in the gym. Ugh, I can never hit my macros. Like, I guess I just wasn't meant to be fit. Like, I guess I'll always be fat, right? How often are we saying this kind of stuff to ourselves, even if it's just in our own heads, but we're labeling ourselves as good versus bad? And instead, we need that mindset shift of first just believing that we can get better. That mindset shift is everything if you want to make this a lifestyle and actually stick with it long term. Because the more that you label yourself the failure and bad, you are identifying as that, and your actions are going to follow that identity. So switch that around. You don't have to lie to yourself and say, I'm perfect or I'm amazing at all of these things, but go, okay, there's room for me to grow and get better, and I can get better. Once you make that mindset shift, things will change. And once you take the action, it's inevitable. You're going to succeed. So I wanted to share that story because I was like, man, this feels really applicable to fitness. Just even my feelings around golf, because I'm like, I've always told myself I would suck at golf. And so hence I never tried golf. I didn't even try. I didn't even try. So how many people on their fitness journeys think they're going to suck, or because past history has told them that they failed or that they do suck, they don't even try. So anyway, enough on that tangent. But let's get into some tips for getting out of the good food versus bad food mentality. So, tip number one is focus on balance and practice moderation. Moderation really is key here, you guys. Instead of labeling foods as good or bad, aim for a balanced approach that includes a variety of foods from different food groups, and allow yourself to enjoy all types of foods in moderation. And yes, that means protein, fats, and carbs, all three macronutrients in moderation. It is okay to indulge occasionally without guilt. You don't have to have guilt. And I always tell my clients, when you're planning for it, when you're planning for the cookie, you are leaving room in your diet for that thing. You don't have to feel guilt around it. It's a beautiful thing. And this is where that 80-20 rule comes in. You've probably heard of, like, eat 80% whole foods, 80%, nutrient dense, fresh foods, eat 20% fun food. Or if you are trying to be a little bit more, a little bit more dialed in, maybe you're doing 90-10. You're trying to eat 90%, nutrient dense foods, 10% of just the fun foods that you enjoy, right? So like 80-20 or 90-10, wherever you're at, it's like allow yourself that 10 to 20% of just things that you enjoy, literally just because you enjoy them. They have no nutritional benefit, or they don't have to have nutritional benefit. It's literally because I like this food and I'd like to have it. That just is a part of enjoying life. So allow yourself that, and that takes out the shame of eating that food. And when you're planning for it, because you're like, hey, the other 80 to 90% of the time, I'm eating foods that are moving me forward towards my fitness goals, I don't have to feel guilt or shame around this 10 to 20%. It is not, it's going to be a drop in the bucket compared to what I'm doing the majority and the rest of the time of eating the foods that are going to help me towards my goals, right? So that's tip number 1 is balance and moderation. Number 2 is consider nutrient density. So think about like the nutritional value of foods rather than categorizing them as good or bad. Choose foods that provide essential nutrients and fuel for your body. So this is where you might have received, if you're in my Facebook group or free community, or if you're a client, I give out a resource that has a list of foods of different protein, fats, and carbs. And instead of saying you're not allowed to eat these foods, don't eat these foods, don't eat these foods, you can only have these foods. Instead, there's 3 columns, and it's the columns are labeled eat more, eat some, and eat less. So if you notice, that's very intentional. That's not limit, avoid, never have these foods, only have these foods. It's eat more of these. In the eat more column, it's going to be your lean protein sources, your complex carbohydrates, your healthy fats. In the eat some column, it's, okay, foods that do have some nutrient benefit, but you probably don't want to be having as much of these foods. So eat some of these protein, fats, and carbs. And then there's an eat less column. The eat less column is going to be full of more of your processed foods, things that we are probably having just more for enjoyment. So instead of good food, bad food, think of your food as, okay, this is some food that I want to eat more of because it's going to make me feel good. Okay. This is like the stuff that's going to fuel me and I'm going to feel amazing, and it's going to move the needle towards my goals. The eat some column is going to maybe hit on some of your macronutrient needs. It's not like, it's not going to move you in the opposite direction, but maybe, maybe not as ideal as the eat more foods. And then the eat less foods, it's just like, hey, I'm going to minimize some of these because, they're maybe not going to move me towards my goals as quickly, but I can still enjoy some of them. I just want to eat less of them so that they don't move me away from my health and fitness goals. And that mindset is um, so life-changing as well, because again, it's about removing the guilt and shame around food. So that's tip number 2, consider the nutrient density. And is it a food that you want to eat more of, eat some of, or eat less of? Number 3 is mindful eating. So pay attention to how foods make you feel physically and emotionally. Really like pay attention. How does your body respond? How are you mentally after having a certain food? This can help you make choices based on how foods nourish you rather than strict rules. So, for instance, just as an example, this is literally from today. I just got back from church a little while ago and ate some leftover cookie cake from my husband's birthday. And I immediately felt the sugar rush and a little like just blah and sluggish. Like I ate some and I was like, this tastes so good in the moment. I had another piece. And then I'm like, I just almost immediately registered in my body of that little bit of a sugar rush. And like my stomach just kind of felt a little blah, and then I felt like immediately sluggish. And it's literally like, it was like 1 p.m. in the afternoon. So not time for me to go to bed or anything. There was no reason for me to be sluggish. Right. So what did I do? Did I shame myself? No. Did I just finish the rest of the cookie cake and say, screw it for the day? No. I made sure to pair the cookie cake with some eggs and some Greek yogurt, some protein to help balance my blood sugar and make me feel better, because I knew that pairing a protein with all of that carb and fat source that I just had is going to help me just feel my best. And foods that the what did I have? Egg and Greek yogurt, I knew was going to nourish me and make me feel good. So I ate that because I was just being in tune to my body. And right now I feel much more balanced and stable. So really like do a kind of just body check of like, how do you feel after certain foods? and really pay attention to that. Cause I think so often we're just mindlessly eating and then we may feel like crap and it could be very easily correlated back to our food, but we're just not even paying attention to it. So pay attention when you eat something doesn't make you feel good, doesn't make you feel bad. And when I say good or bad, I mean physically, not like, am I a bad person, but do I feel good? And really notice your body. So that's tip number 3. Tip number 4 is to challenge food rules. Like question the rules that you have set around food. So I'm really speaking to also to the person who requested this episode topic, like whether it's your family, your friends, culture, question the rules that you have accepted as truths around food. Are they based on genuine health concerns or are they based on societal norms? Right? Are they based off of a genuine like health principle or are they based off of what diet culture has told you? Adjust your mindset to align with what works best for your own body and your own well being. And really, challenging food rules goes both ways. So you could challenge food rules in the sense of like, okay, I'm going to challenge like, you know, my own thoughts around food, but like, is it good or bad food, right? I'm going to challenge, what I think of when I think of good foods and what I think, and how I feel when I think of quote unquote bad foods. Challenge that mindset and those food rules. And, that's where it goes both ways because if you've heard of orthorexia, that's an obsession with eating healthy food. So, orthorexia is a person or a person who has orthorexia, they're fixated on the quality rather than the quantity of their food to an excessive degree. And someone who has orthorexia, they often feel like they can't even participate in social events or they're scared. They're actually scared of eating outside of the home, like at restaurants, for example, because they are so obsessed and fixated on this food is not healthy for me. And guys, that is also not healthy if you are that fixated and obsessive. And you might be so fixated on the food rules that it's actually become an unhealthy obsession. And I will say, I don't see this as often as I see someone who is kind of going off the deep end the other way, but I do see it pretty frequently as well. And so that's where, again, the balance and moderation comes in the 80-20 rule or 90-10 rule. Again, those are quote unquote rules, but they're very loose rules. Like I don't say a rule in the sense of it's very fixed. It's more like suggestions, right? Eating 80 to 20%, 80% or 20%, 90-10. Those are suggestions so that you feel your best. But is it a strict and hard rule? No. And so challenge those things too, because finding balance in your health and fitness journey is just as important as eating the healthy food most of the time. So challenge food rules. That's tip number 4. Tip number 5 is avoid moralizing food choices. So remember that your worth is not determined by what you eat. Food choices should not be tied to your morality or your self worth. Let's say that again. Food choices should not be tied to your morality or your self worth. Okay. You are not quote unquote good if you eat an apple, and you are not bad if you eat a cookie. If you eat an apple to, let's say, nourish yourself and fuel your body, that's wonderful. And if you choose to eat a cookie or ice cream or a piece of cake because you're celebrating, a birthday or you're enjoying time with a friend or you're simply allowing yourself to eat your favorite foods in moderation, that is also wonderful. So just avoid, labeling yourself again, going back to what I talked about at the beginning as good or bad. Tip number 5 is avoid moralizing your food choices. Tip number 6 is to educate yourself. Oh my gosh. Learn about the benefits of different foods and how they can contribute to a balanced diet. If you don't know anything about foods, you're probably not sure how to have a balanced diet, right? And then that leads to more food shame and food guilt because you're just not even sure what to do. Education, like knowledge is power, right? We've heard that saying before. Knowledge can empower you to make informed choices without judgment, without self judgment. especially when it comes to your food choices. And this is where learning macros is so beneficial. Even if you don't track macros for life, I actually don't have my clients do this or suggest that. Once they're reaching their physical results and goals, it's like, let's wean you off of tracking macros back into intuitive eating. But first, you have to learn how to eat the right way for your body. Macros is a really great tool to teach you how to do that. It just basically teaches you about food. It's a skill and it equips you with that knowledge and that power. And I've actually had a lot of clients who have tried macros in the past, or they've tried tracking their food in the past, and they said they felt super restricted or like super obsessive and it didn't feel healthy. But the thing was that they were looking at food as quote unquote good or quote unquote bad. And or they were trying to track macros from a place of how little can I eat, from a place of restriction. So I've had a lot of clients as well who have come from a past of eating disorders, anorexia or bulimia. And, in the past, they were like tracking was like way too triggering or obsessive for me. They are like, okay, I've come through my eating disorder. I'm in a good place now. I kind of want to give tracking a try again. And again, this is very individualized to the person. There's some people who I'm like, hey, you really shouldn't track right now. Like, I don't think that would be a healthy thing for you right now. But if they've come through and are on the other side of their eating disorder and they are feeling really good with where they're at, let's say they try tracking again. Let's not even say they try. I've had clients do this and they're like switching their mindset when they switch their mindset to how much can I eat to fuel my body properly, everything shifted. And almost every time they experience more food freedom because they realize that they can eat more food without blowing up like a balloon. They're like, oh my gosh, I thought when I was tracking before, like I had to stay under 1,500 calories. Then we're sometimes having clients eat like 2,500 calories and they were like, holy crap. And I'm actually getting leaner and stronger and more toned. How is this possible? And so they realize they can eat more without, ballooning up. They learn that fats are good for them and they don't make you fat. They learn how to utilize carbs for building muscle and having more energy, and realize that carbs don't make you fat and they don't have to demonize carbs. And they're learning more about food, which gives them more food freedom. And if you're in that place, or if you feel overwhelmed by food, or you just want to learn more about macros so you can experience the same type of food freedom, then check out my free macro guide in the show notes. And if you want to DIY it, if you want to do this yourself, that guide, it's like 25 pages, you guys. It's very in depth. That guide will show you exactly how to set and adjust your own macros, and it will teach you all about macros. And if you want help on your journey, if you want a coach to come alongside you and do it with you, someone to coach you and cheerlead with you, and someone to, give you the accountability that you need, then you can also head to the link in the show notes and you can book a free strategy call with me to apply for one-on-one coaching. My company, Fitness Uncharted, does one-on-one fitness and nutrition coaching, and we can help you break the dieting mindset and turn this whole, health and fitness thing into a lifestyle that you actually truly enjoy and truly love. Okay. So whether you want to DIY it, go check out the macro guide, download that, or you can book a call with me if you want help. And if you want someone to do it for you and with you, we got you. Number 7, I think we're on 7. The last one, practice self-compassion. You guys, be kind to yourself when making food choices. Accept that it's normal to have preferences and it's normal to have cravings and it's normal to like processed food. Like it's normal and it's okay. And focus on nourishing your body with compassion, not dieting from a place of self-hate. And there's a saying, no one hates themselves into a body that they love. And I truly believe that you cannot hate yourself into a body that you love. So practice self-compassion, treat yourself with care, think about your health and your nutrition as a thing that's going to nourish you and take care of you, not something that you're doing out of obligation or because you hate yourself or because of self-loathing. It's really that whole mindset shift. that we talked about at the beginning as well. So that is it, you guys. Stop food shaming yourself or scoring yourself on your fitness journey and just focus on getting 1% better each and every day.